Hello friends and welcome to a lecture in Python. Today we will learn how to write functions. Now functions have a very important and a crucial role to play in any programming language. Let's say you have any function, mathematical function defined as not one single expression but a group of expressions. It to get the final answer of your function, you have to write lots of lines of code. Now, each time when you want to use such function in your calculations or in your program, you may have to write all the lines of code. So it's a better way of doing it. A better way of doing it would be to define the function and use it each and every time that you want it. So let's have a look at it. How do we define a function? So the definition of function is given by def, and I write my function and round brackets and semicolon, and I press shift and enter. As you see, it gives me an error. Now this was deliberately done because a function has to return a value. Now let's write return and let's execute it once again. As you see, now the function is quite okay. It has a return command in it, and the basic, it starts with the lines. The definition of any function or the codes of line of any function start with the next line below the colons. Now I just write here print hi, and I run this, and then I call this function. Now it says hi, it echoes back hi because what I have written is print hi. Now you can write this function without the return line also, and it will run because there is at least one single line of code following it. If there was no line of code following it, this would give an error. So let's run this once again, and as you see, it prints hi. Now, what if we do certain calculations in a function? So how do we do it? So let's define my second function. And for any calculation, we have to put some input variable. So let my input variable be x, and let the calculation be y is equal to x plus 1. And now how do we return this value of y? We write return y. And let's execute this now. So as you can see here, I forgot to write def. Therefore, it threw up an error. That is the definition of the function, and it works. Now we called my second function, and we would put a value of 12 in this. And as you can see, it enters the function and executes this line of code, that is y is equal to x plus 1, and returns back the value of 13. Because what follows after this line is return 13. It returns a value of 13. Now, in most of the textbooks, you will find that this particular definition of a function is written as such. It is right. There is no problem. So I would like to write this as my third function and execute this. Now this is right. There is no problem with this. So my third function, let me call it. And let me put a value of 23. It will execute it. But yes, as my advice, Please do not write it this way because it can get confusing at times and you can write only single statements here. So it is better to calculate the value of your function and assign it to value and return the value. This makes the function more readable. Also, let's take it this way now. So my function, let's write now my fourth function, let's say math function, and let's take a variable now and let's define y is equal to 1 over x and let's return y. Now, as it is, my bad, I have not written def. Yes, that's it, it's done. Now let's call the function my math function, and let's put a value in this 2. So it will give me 0.5 back. Now let's just call my math function. Now it throws up an error. Why it says that the value of x is missing. Okay. So whenever you give an argument, it is very essential that you have to give some value for the argument. Automatically a 0 will not be assumed. Had it assumed a 0, it would have given the answer as infinity. But automatic assumption of 0 is not the way functions work in Python. You have to give a value here. Now, let's take a function with 2 arguments. So we write my second math function. And let's take x, comma y. And let's define it now. Z is equal to x square plus y square. And let's return z. So the definition is over. So we now write my second math function. We take this function and execute it. So let's do it. And let's give the values. So that's going to be, let's give 2, 3 and execute this off. As you see, we get 13. That is 2 square 4, 3 square 9, 9 plus 4. That makes it 30. Now, it is sometimes a good idea to give default values to functions. So sometimes if you do not give any value to the variables, that is the function inputs, you do not give the function inputs, still you will get a function output and it will not cause an error. Now there may be many situations where you may call a function and you may just want to take its default value. There will be many situations there, and there it's not very necessary that you have to put the default values for the variables. So how do we do it? We write this as, let's do it once again. So my third math function, and let's give default values. So we give a default value of x is equal to 1, comma, y is equal to 1. And close the bracket. There we are. And then we write z is equal to x square plus y square. And we return the value of z. We are done. So now let's take and execute this function. and let's give no values for x and y. As you see, this returns a value of 2. Now, how neat is that? You have not given any inputs to the function, but still it has generated the default output. Now, this saves you with a lot of problems. A lot of times, errors that might crop into your programming because the default value is put. So the default value at least would give you something and you could trace it back. Okay, your result is finally a result because the function has thrown up a default value. So this is also in a way a good thing. So that will be all about functions, and hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Keep watching, and yes, do subscribe my channel for such interesting videos. Goodbye.